Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with Jonathan from Convoy Home Loans. How you doing, buddy?
Good, good. It's
Uh,
crazy day.
Crazy day, crazy day. So in the second video we did together, we talked about IO. I pushed back a little bit. I certainly don't like short-term IO. I did have a light bulb moment about the 10-year, 30-year fixed, at which time you said, hey, let's bring up some real life examples. So you've been working on some loan quotes for people. And I think you have a side-by-side comparison we can go through. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to kind of break down right now with the conventional investment. Again, investment, not
Yeah,
primary
investment.
investment.
Yes.
The difference between a conventional investment and a, let's say, non-QM, IO investment. I
Okay.
wanted to kind of highlight that.
All
So,
right.
it'll be something new. We've never actually done a visual thing, so I think a lot of people will like the visualization
Okay.
of what we're doing. So, I am going to start sharing my screen.
Mm-hmm.
So before we start going anywhere else, I wanted to start here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a live screenshot of probably our best price lender
Mm-hmm.
with 20% down on a conventional loan
Okay.
for an investment property right now.
Okay.
The numbers that I use for valuation is a $500,000 purchase price,
Mm-hmm.
$400,000 loan.
Okay.
And the reason I'm using 20% is because obviously a lot of people still want to use as much leverage as they can
Mm-hmm.
versus doing less. But at 20%, as you can see, obviously it's going to be the first time that a lot of people, or may not be the first time that a lot of people see something like this. But
Mm-hmm.
when because I tell people on the phone, hey, like there is no rate right now without points.
Right.
They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, look, this is what I mean,
So
right?
I want to make sure I'm reading this correctly just for the
Mm-hmm.
novice. So if I go to the
Mm-hmm.
top row, 5%, what you're saying, Jonathan, with this lender is it is absolutely possible for me to get a 5% loan today. The cost of that is roughly speaking 9 points. So
Correct.
9 times 400 or 9% times 400 equals roughly $36,000.
Mm-hmm. But here's where it comes is, state laws, right? Whatever state you're in,
Mm-hmm.
may prevent you from getting down that far because a lot of
Okay.
states have like 5%, 6% rules, right? At
Okay.
most.
All right.
So it might prevent you from getting down that
So the
far. But
lender may provide it, but the state may not. I didn't even know any of
exactly.
that. Okay. All right.
Yeah. There's state high cost laws, right? So
Ah,
like it's
okay.
legally impossible for a lender to like try to overcharge a client. That's their rule, right?
Oh, okay.
So
Cool.
yeah, so let's say for example we're in a state like California. California's at 6%. So I mean, yeah, you can potentially buy it down to like,
So
5
5.875.
8
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
But
I got you. Not
but
that you would, but you could. So
exactly.
when I get
Especially
these
yeah.
marketing letters that say I can get you sub 6, it is technically accurate, but it's expensive.
Exactly. And that's thank you for bringing that up because that's what I wanted to, that was my main point is look, it's when they're telling you, yeah, we can go lower. Yeah, I mean, I can get you as low as a 5. So I can market a 5 in fine print. I'll
And
put
be legal,
it's
yeah.
yeah, fine print, it'll be $36,000 in points.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so it's technically you can, but in reality, not really, right? But as
Yeah.
you guys can see, as everyone can see, it's we're talking about the closest rate to no points or the par is
Yeah.
7.625 today, this morning, on a
Wow.
conventional loan on an investment property, single family residence. This isn't even a multifamily.
Right.
So once you add multifamily, then it's even worse.
Yes.
Even worse. So we're
Okay.
talking about, obviously points are relative to the loan amount. So if you have a
Sure.
smaller loan amount, it's going to be a smaller amount in
Yeah.
points.
This
But
loan
we're
again is
talking about
400 grand.
correct 400
Okay.
grand.
All right.
So
I'm with you.
I mean, it's right there. So right now, and we talked about in the last couple videos, like the difference between a conventional versus like non-QM.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's the best time to take advantage of IO. And I'm gonna kind of flip over the screen to
Mm-hmm.
kind of our little bit of a breakdown
Okay.
and show kind of apples to apples what we're talking about
Okay.
in terms of IO versus not. So I know it says current loan, I know it says new loan. Let's think about current loan being conventional,
Right.
C for C, and N new loan for being non-QM,
Perfect.
right?
I'm with you so far.
Okay.
Okay.
So apples to apples. Right now, we're in a situation where 7.5% on a conventional loan investment property with 20% down is a realistic scenario. Again,
Sure.
going back to this right here, as you can see, it's a realistic scenario.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Now, at the same time, this is basically where 7.5% is basically where a non-conventional 10-year IO rate would be.
Oh, okay.
Now, it may, you know, we could buy it down, we can, you know, buy it up. Like, there's a lot of different ways, but apples to apples comparison, right?
Okay.
Both in cost and both in kind of like the measure. I want to make sure we're talking apples to apples. So for the 7.5 here, it was like 7,600 in points. Let's say for the 7.5, it's like, you know, because there's not usually points, there's like origination and such. So let's say total is like apples to apples, like let's just call it 10 grand each.
Okay.
Right.
10 grand
so
fees.
10
Okay,
grand, 10 grand each. So
okay.
10 grand here, 10 grand here. So now, if you look at this and we're talking about IO versus not, the fully amortizing principal and interest payment right here is 2796.86. So 2797.
Okay, I'm with you.
Right. So now when you're doing your calculation for a 30-year fixed conventional and you're like trying to make a decision, should I go with this one? You are actually doing 2796 plus taxes, plus insurance, plus association if you have any. So total payment for maybe a $500,000 loan in whatever part of the country you're in, or $500,000 purchase might be another $500-600 on the payment.
Sure.
So let's call it $3,300.
Okay.
Now, the same payment on an interest only that you're actually going to be looking at is you're not going to be looking at the monthly payment principal and interest. You're going to be looking at the monthly payment on just the interest only and looking at the first payment only, because interest only payment will remain the same for whatever the interest only period is.
Correct.
Right. Again, you have the option to pay into the principal, but it's not really going to re-amortize until the fully amortizing period. So that payment difference between just this and this is $296.
I see it. Okay.
Right. Obviously, as you can see, the principal amount not being paid off.
Right.
So that could be the difference. And we kind of touched on it in the last video. That $296 difference could be the difference of whether a deal cash flows, breaks even, or is negative. So $2,500 plus, let's say the same $600, $500-600 for the tax and insurance, let's say it's $3,100. So we're looking at basically a $300 less in payment on a monthly basis that allows you to kind of factor in. And again, like you said, you're able to use the capital. It's $300 cash that you're getting as a surplus every month.
It's spendable. It's not some, you know, wishy thing on your balance sheet. Yeah.
Correct. It's real cash, right? Yeah. So if the rents are, let's say, $3,500, then you are cash flowing positive in the interest only scenario, $400. And in the conventional scenario with principal and interest, you are not cash flowing.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay.
So this is kind of a real live example of like why interest only makes so much sense right now versus it ever has been, just because conventional rates are so high.
Right.
It allows you
so really, so this anchors on, again, C for conventional, N for non-QM. It really anchors on the fact that your interest rates are similar. And because they are similar, you're really dropping that, in this example, rounding to $300 to your personal bottom line in spendable cash.
Correct. But here's the interesting part too, just really quick.
Sure.
If, let's say I bring this down and let's say conventional rates are even at 7.25, right? You're still a difference 2728 to 2,500.
Right.
So even if the rate is lower on a conventional loan,
sure,
you are still able to capitalize on $228 versus $296 of cash flow. Even if I bring this down to a 7, on a slim deal where a lot of, I'm talking about like California or some other states where it might be a little slimmer, $100-200 is the make or break point. So this right here is still $160.
So let's talk about this in my audience, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing a deal somewhere where you're only getting $100 cash flow on a spreadsheet, that's a skinny deal. That's probably an alligator. Don't do that deal. But if you're working in a market, you're getting your 3 or 350, and this would give you an extra 200. That's a lot more margin of safety. And again, as we talked about in video 2, I'm comfortable with the idea of 10 years of IO rolling into 30-year fix, because that way you control your ultimate risk. I don't like the idea of using IO to make a bad deal palatable. That's not okay by me. Bad deals are always bad deals, no matter how you slice them. But I do like the margin of safety, right? If you're going in and you got 300, but you know what, your reserves aren't where they are, blah blah blah. You want the extra 150 or 200 cash for not paying principal. I get that. I mean, that's what Dion talks about all the time, right? I'll take the cash flow today versus equity tomorrow. So I think this is a great way. Again, I still am so interest rate risk averse that I like the 10-year IO 30-year, but that's why people need to call you and see what's good for them, because my opinion is frankly irrelevant to anybody's personal experience, but it warrants conversations, and that's why you're a professional and why people should call you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, here's the other thing too, that I just came up in my mind while you were talking. Yes, the margin of safety for sure is kind of a big thing, but for a lot of people that are qualifying to, let's say, because a lot of the rents, let's say it's we get it off the appraisal, it's a DSCR loan, let's say. Let's say the rents are going to be on paper, like the appraiser, because no one knows. Appraiser is always a toss up.
Yeah.
So
I know that.
Yeah. Let's say appraiser comes in and they call rents 20 or $3,000. Then it doesn't. Now you don't qualify, right? But in reality, if you listed it for rent, it would actually go for like 3,400.
Yeah.
Right.
More and more, again, the environment we're going into, motivated sellers are probably going to be under rented. That's why they're in trouble. The IO period, again, especially for people who are building still, that extra margin of safety, that ability to do your year or two of value add. I promise you, if you're renting at 500, but it should be 900, you're going to go through multiple tenant conversions, because you don't just jump from 5 to 9. You got to go. It's work. It's a process. So I like the IO for margin of safety. I really like the IO with that 30-year fixed. And again, most of you, I like it because it controls my risk. Most of you will refi out of it. I get it. But I'm always about controlling the downside. And that just makes me feel comfortable. Everybody else can throw that away, but hey, I am who I am.
I mean, it worked for you.
Yeah, I did okay. I did okay.
The Warren Buffett of real estate.
There you go. I like that. I like that. I did it. But again, this is why people need to call you and talk about their scenario. You are there for people. I love the fact that you and Dustin have told people, no, that's a bad deal. That's an alligator. I think you called it negative cash flow. Again, it's an alligator. Let's just stick with the same vocabulary. How could people reach out, Jonathan?
Yeah, email privateclient@convoyhomeloans.com, and please let us know you're from where at.
Awesome, buddy. Thanks again, and we'll talk next week.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good week. Bye.
Yep.